Hey guys, did you know that I have a Patreon where you can support me and plus get awesome rewards? Or if you're thinking to yourself, but Julian, I want even more bang for my buck while still supporting you, you can pop over to my Redbubble and check out my awesome store with new designs appearing regularly. But for now, enjoy the video you're about to watch. Okay, y'all, I don't have time for this. I shouldn't do this. Yet here I am. There you go. I keep forgetting that when I film at night, I need to film like this. The lighting is slightly better. Still got shadow on one side of my face. I don't care. I'm also not wearing makeup or anything because, y'all, I just got back from the Avengers movie and I have thoughts. Okay? This is mostly just a place for me to dump those thoughts so that later when I'm talking about this movie with my friends, I can remember the thoughts that I had. I didn't write any of this down. It's gonna just be rambly and whatever, and if you have a problem with it, this video isn't for you anyway. This is totally just me and my pals, and if you like it, you've reaped the benefits. Jane is here. So you guys, that movie, much anticipated. As you have probably gathered if you have spent any time on social media, people feel, oh my gosh, Kinshu's here too. They can sense my passion and they gather around me. People feel one of two ways for the most part, at least on my Facebook. They either love it or they hate it. And guess where I fell? Go ahead, guess, go ahead. I was in the middle! Woo! Woo! Who guessed? Prizes for you. I don't know what the prizes are, but you can imagine yourself some cool prizes. There were things I liked about this movie, there were things I didn't like about this movie. Do I think that it was the amazing culmination of so many movies, the best movie that there ever was, could ever be? No, of course not. I don't know if that movie can even be made, especially not in like 2.5 hours. Like, it would have to be like a Lord of the Rings style 4-hour epic to satisfy me. That's okay, I understand that. Let's just talk about the things I didn't like first, and then we'll talk about the things I did like. Oh my god, I'm just covered in cats. They will not get off. They're gonna fight in a second. Like T'Challa. Right away, this movie done me wrong, you guys. You know how every now and then you'll be watching a movie or playing a video game, and you'll be like, hey, not only did the creators listen to what the fans were saying, but they hated it and just went to the fans. I felt that way about the DLC new ending for Mass Effect 3. And I feel the same way about what they did to Loki. Loki, honey, they done wrong by you. Now hear me out. Many people, including myself, think that Loki has kind of run his character course. He came full circle and now he's kind of a good guy. I have a couple problems with this. One is, why do we have to kill off a character as soon as they've completed their arc? Why do they have to die? And the other is that I'm fine with him dying in this movie. But it was almost like a joke. It really felt like a middle finger, where they were like, he's gonna have this very brief thing where he's like, I am not an Asgardian. Yeah, I am an Asgardian, Prince of Asgard, son of whatever. And then knife, poorly executed stab that I don't think Loki would have tried because I feel like he's too smart for that. Death. And then later, Thor is like, oh yeah, my brother died. He's done that before, but this time I think it's for real. And it's almost supposed to be a joke. Like, I feel like the writers intended that to be like a little bit of a joke. And it just felt like, the creators of this movie were like, oh, y'all thought Loki should have died in a previous movie? Well, fuck you, now he's dead in the most insulting way possible. Are you happy, fans? Are you happy? No, I'm pissed off. Although I know that one of my friends who might be watching this, hi Alyssa, is probably laughing her ass off because that is probably exactly what she wanted to see. So the saltier fans who weren't as in love with Loki as I admit that I am, flawed as a character that he is, I still like him. I have a little bit of an addiction to his and his brother's relationship and the frenemies thing they have going on. I love their fighting style when they're together because Thor is like the hammer and Loki is the dagger, and it's great, and I wanted more of that. I was fine with Loki dying in this movie. I was fine with him being like a background character in this movie, but they didn't have to do him like that. That was like the first thing that really bothered me. Okay, I'm done. I'm done being a fangirl. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Okay, on to the next thing that I didn't like. Vision and Wanda, I hate their relationship. I don't know why I feel so viscerally against this ship, but I do not ship it. I don't feel like it was earned. See, this is a little bit complicated. You see, whenever we get a robot type character, an AI type character in any fiction, that character has the best chance of being asexual. This is just something that I have learned in my life. If you want an asexual character, they usually have to be the robot or the alien. And it was Paul Bettany, who I love, so I was like, oh, Vision, he's this robot guy, so there's a chance he might be asexual. And I'm not even salty that he's not, but Wanda is such a non-character to me that I just do not feel their relationship one tiny bit, and so much of this movie like hinges on their relationship, and I just hate it. Third thing, Gamora and Peter Quill and their whole all of that. Oh girl, she just, I don't know, she pissed off an elder god or something, because this movie just kind of shits all over her. I don't know if y'all know this, but in the previous Guardians of the Galaxy movies, there is kind of an implication that until Peter Quill gets his shit together and stops being such a man-child, Gamora will not get in a relationship with him. Which I think is a really good message. And in this movie, it is very clear, that Peter is still exactly that man-child. No growth has occurred between the last Guardians movie and now for him. But then all of a sudden, him and Gamora are all like, I love you, and I believe their first ever kiss, correct me if I'm wrong, is in this movie, and it feels so bad. It was not a payoff. It was just kind of like this thing where they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill Gamora, so she needs to be in love with Peter now, and they need to have like this moment and this perfect kiss. Okay, we're done. It was very frustrating. It was like she could have died and Peter could have been very upset without this whole I love you, I love you. I think those are my big major gripes with the movie. I may come up with a few smaller ones to pepper in to the things that I liked about the movie. We'll find out. Like I said, this is not planned at all. Super impromptu. I didn't even take the blanket off of my chair that I used to keep the cats from shedding all over the chair. This is how impromptu this is. Things I did like about this movie, I think they did a pretty solid job of giving each of the characters some screen time. Naturally, some characters got less than others, but it was there and they were there and it felt like they were contributing, and it wasn't quite like, there was never a moment where I was like, when you know, the battle at the airport in Civil War, I think it was, where sometimes you'd be like watching the fight and you're like, where's so-and-so and why aren't they doing anything? Like that entire battle I was like, where's Vision? He could have this over with in seconds. In this one they did a lot better job of balancing all of the characters and how they were fighting, especially with a lot of really great moments against Thanos where they were able to combine their abilities to sort of hold him down a couple of different times, I think, or different enemies that they did that with, and I was like, good, very good. That is how you do it. That is how you work with a bunch of different superheroes. They were also smart to divide the superheroes up into teams. It did make the flow of the movie a little bit choppier because we have to keep cutting to these different teams. But, I mean, what were you going to do? You couldn't really do anything about that. I think cutting them into teams was a good choice, which means that you do have to chop the movie a little bit. But I like the teams that they cut them into. I loved the opportunities they were given to interact with characters that they hadn't really gotten to interact with yet. I love the bromance that is forming, very subtly forming, between Tony and Doctor Strange. It's subtle, but it's there. I like it. I like that this movie did not play up the reunion between Banner and Natasha, because I'm not a huge fan of their romance necessarily, so I'm glad that they were just like, hey, that's it, that's all we're gonna give you this movie. Wait for later movies to find out more about that business. I do like that our big heroes of old, like Tony and Cap and Thor, are really still getting to shine, because this might be one of the last times that we really get to see them shining, because I have a very sneaky suspicion, what with contracts being up and such, that we will not be seeing much of those actors in those roles for much longer. I have missed Tony Stark and his snark, but also like a side of him that you don't often get to see when he's more of a side character, which is that he actually is a good person who wants to save people. A lot of times you just see him as like this arrogant asshole who's just there to kick ass in a suit. And I liked to see that he had like a little bit of his gentler side was still present. I was really worried when he was like talking to Pepper about having a baby, and I was like, Tony, don't do it! Don't you know that's movie suicide? Never talk about being happy or having a kid in a movie. You're gonna die. I am kind of not surprised that they didn't kill Tony in this one because the fans were expecting it so much. And you don't want to do everything that the fans expect. They did do a lot of things that the fans expected, and a lot of things that the fans wanted, I feel like, were done. Of course they did have to kill Vision, but I was pleasantly surprised that it took so long to kill him, which means more Paul Bettany for me. And I am almost 100% certain that Vision is not gone, because when Shuri was working on him, you have to know that she like saved at least part of him somewhere else, so they're gonna be able to bring at least part of him back. Possibly not, you know, as awesome as he was, but at least there. So frickin' Wanda can, I don't know, have sex with him some more. This, everybody was raptured pretty much. T'Challa, my man, which is how I know that they are going to be bringing people back from that, because like I was like, some of them I'm like, okay, well maybe they're not going to come back. Then they took T'Challa and I was like, well, they have way more money to make off of that character. So another thing that I loved was the big battle at Wakanda. That battle was just so great to watch. I just enjoyed the hell out of it. I was just sitting there like a little kid, like, yes, give me more, kill more alien things, I don't even care. Go, my wife. In case you didn't know, General Okoye, she's my wife. We are married. We are very much in love. Thank you for asking. And they didn't kill her at the end. It was so great. I was certain that when T'Challa went to her, that it was going to be her that vanished and him that stayed, and then he was taken, and I was like, whoa, good call, movie. You got one on me that time. And I know everybody has been talking about how Thanos is such a great villain. He's so awesome. Because he doesn't want to take over the world, he just wants to kill half of the population of the universe. He has reasons. I don't know. Yeah, he's a strong villain in the Marvel universe, but as villains go, he's still pretty weak as far as like characterization. So there's that. I mean, I liked him. I thought it was well done. He was an interesting villain to follow. He wasn't just like, mwahaha, I'm evil. But at the same time, I don't think he was as amazing as everyone's making him out to be. Killmonger, still the best Marvel villain, in my opinion. Fight me. And by that I mean, don't go in the comment section and call me names. I mean fisticuffs. Let's go, you and me right now. I've got a kitty. He will be too cute, and you will be distracted. I think those are all of my thoughts about this movie. I'll probably have more the second I turn the camera off. If I do have more, please check the doobly-doo for even more thoughts from me, or future me will add them in.
Hey y'all, this is Julian from the future with just a few extra thoughts. My first thought is, Red Skull? Red Skull? Red Skull?! So here are some thoughts about the ending, now that I put a little space between me and the movie. I personally subscribe to the soul theory. I forget what it's called, but it's basically the theory that everybody who got dusted is inside the soul stone, and future movies will involve people trying to get them out of there, plus potentially people who are inside the soul stone trying to get free. It's a pretty not controversial thought. My other thought, though, is maybe a little bit weirder. A lot of people have talked about Doctor Strange and his deciding to give up the Time Stone and all of that stuff, and here's my take on it, which is probably wrong. No need to come at me in the comments. I'm fine with being wrong. My take is that the iteration that we got in this movie is one of the times that the Avengers failed, because he saw, like, so many times that they failed and only one where they succeeded. And what he was saying to me is, we're not going to be able to protect the Time Stone. There's only one iteration where we protected the Time Stone. So the Avengers have failed. This is one of the timelines where they failed. So now he is just setting up for what comes next after we fail. He's setting up for the next possibility of success, and for some reason, that needs Tony to be alive. We don't know why yet, but I think he has a plan. Also, of course, it sets up a contrast between him and Thanos, where Thanos is kind of like, it's worth it to kill a bunch of faceless people, and Doctor Strange is kind of putting his foot down and being like, well, at least I can save one. I don't know. Other people have explained this part better than I am right now, but those are my thoughts on it from the future.
This has been a very impromptu, odd little review. My camera is running out of space, so let's wrap this puppy up. I love superhero movies. I don't know why. My friend and I have gone back and forth because she likes superhero TV shows and I like superhero movies. And I think thinking about it, movies scratch that itch, the same itch that fan fiction scratches, where it's like, it's sort of brief and it's just this mashup of things that I like, with very broad emotions and very broad strokes. And sometimes I just like that, and plus, you know, less sex than fan fiction. Because every now and then, my hard, cynical heart just needs to sit back and go, oh, pretty, colorful superheroes are kicking ass and occasionally having very broad emotions that even someone as emotionally stunted as me can understand. Yes! Do you love superhero movies? If you do, comment below and let me know why. What psychological damage do you have that makes you also love superhero movies? I'm not making fun of you, I'm making fun of me. I think I may be psychologically damaged. Anyway, I've rambled enough. I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. And don't forget, if you liked what you saw here and you want it to be better quality, support me on Patreon, where I'm saving up to buy better equipment. Okay? Okay. Bye!
What's up, everybody? It is shout out time. Time to shout out to my very first patron, Kim. And if you want to be cool like Kim, become a patron over on Patreon.